big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Coed Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Coed Sean and Coed Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Coed Radio.
Radio. Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
And welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show for October the 12th, 2016. You have Clint over there just destroying everything.
Hang on a second. I'm not touching anything, and my nose is at least 3 feet clear of the microphone.
Of nothing.
So I have 3 inches.
So
I have 3 inches of clearance right now. Listen, 10 seconds into the freaking introduction, don't start on me.
Dude.
Hang on. That's blade hand if you don't recognize it.
If
That's
you're in the
knife hand.
room... If
I got
you're
knife
in the
hand
room,
right there.
There is nothing
Stop.
3 feet from your nose.
Stop. This is a small room. Come on.
Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much to Ken McClinton, the exceptional conservative, who actually got out almost on time this evening. It was a joy.
Was he late?
We were actually taking bets.
We were, but nobody would take my bet.
Well, hell no, not at 30 seconds till. Come on. 30 seconds till, you still got a caller on the phone. Like, I'm going to take that bet.
Hey, you know what? I had to go for
And by the way, your comment was inappropriate when you said, well, he's black. I don't know that he can really tell time.
That's exactly what I
didn't
said.
appreciate that comment. We kind of had an EEO discussion about the importance of adhering to our strict...
We had a sensitivity meeting just prior to the...
Right.
I was brought into Human Resources, which in this case was Clint, and BZ was the independent moderator. And you guys yelled at me repeatedly and hurt my feelings.
We have a very important in-studio guest.
Yes, we do.
This guest has not been in studio in...
Ever. One time.
Years ago.
Like 3 years ago, right?
Like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it was before that. It was
it really?
Yeah.
Because at the time she was writing articles for us. She actually had time.
Right.
To write articles, even though she didn't think she did, but now she realizes that she actually had a lot of time. One of the smartest young ladies that we know, Sackhead Michaela, is in studio.
Woohoo! Thank you so much for joining us.
Welcome. Say hi. Yeah. You have a big fan. You can't hear the applause right now, but everybody online is.
I prefer it that way, actually.
Big applause.
Okay, yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, I don't want her to hear the sound effects. Because then people...
Then it goes to her head.
Right, and people...
You remember when she was writing for us.
When we have special sound effects for people, people have a tendency to get picky if I don't play it every single time they show up.
Name one person, besides Rooster, or Ken... Right.
And where are the white women at?
Remember that one time I didn't play Ken's intro?
Yes.
And I had to hear about it forever.
You still hear about it.
I know. And then he brought up Rooster. He brought up everybody who comes on that we have a little sound clip for.
And then he accused you of being a racist, which,
yes.
I mean, we really can't.
Yes.
I mean, you can't really defend that.
And in my defense, we weren't expecting him to call in, and I was excited that he was on. So I didn't have time to load it. So it's really not my fault.
Way to accept responsibility.
This is not my fault.
It's a button you push.
They told me they fixed it.
It's one button you push. Look, you can't even fool me with that anymore.
Yeah, but I gotta find it, and
I gotta
put
my little finger on the mouse.
You ever tried to scroll? It's a lot of work.
No, look, I've sat in that chair a couple times. That is a ton of work. I play the same commercial break over and over again.
Oh, yeah. Good job. Good job. That's what I do anyways.
How was your week?
It was great until today.
Wait, why?
So, I already told you about the most disturbing video that I've seen of the day.
Yes.
We talked about that.
That's coming up later, though, right? Yeah, that's coming up later.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's coming at 9 o'clock.
No. That's no, not that one.
Oh.
No, the other one.
Oh, I love that video.
There is a video, and actually, I was shocked. BZ, who's with us this evening, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hadn't seen this, and it was all over social media. It was all over. It's a picture of Obama from the 2008, or a video on a plane with.
I still, honestly, I have not seen.
And you're
the
better
video.
off
You need to
for
Google
it.
it.
Jersey Joe's in the chat room. Hey, if
need
you're
to
not in the
Google
chat
it.
room, go to
Yeah.
shrmedia.com, click live chat. And he apparently, and you know what? I meant to find the sound clip from Anchorman, where she says, "You have a massive erection, Mr. Burgundy," where for whatever reason, he must have got good poll numbers.
Right.
Because he was excited. And he's wearing the tightest pants I've ever seen on a human being. And they're apparently made of part Lycra.
Or
like
spandex,
material.
or like a Lycra spandex mix, I think.
And he's
And I didn't say mix because
showing
it's Obama.
it off for the press corps that's on his plane. Intentionally showing it off. And I'm not going to make the correlation between
The
what
snakes
Trump
on a
did
plane
or
joke?
anything like that. No. I was until you said that, moron. No. Wait up.
What's hilarious?
You just
Like,
upstage me again.
It writes itself.
Enough is enough. Motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane.
Exactly. I think that's how everybody.
Was that Obama or was that his Secret Service detail?
I don't know. I thought that was.
Or was that his
had
wife?
To be Barack.
That's how I felt when I saw the video.
All right, I've got it queued up now. Do I dare?
Yes. I want to get yes.
Live reaction from BZ. Have you seen it?
And
Oh, come take a look.
Did you get all the audio with it too? Let me know when you start playing it. BZ's watching it now. Obviously,
No, I
makes
got
for
it.
horrible radio.
Wind it up. All right, here we go.
But he's got it loud enough that you can hear the audio. And
Hey,
this is how it begins.
We can do the play-by-play.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Now that's how I was shocked that he said that on a plane.
I think that was allegedly.
Oh man, it was I apologize because people don't realize we're into it automatically. We have a
Now the
couple
camera's zooming in.
couple new listeners in chat.
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
And they've already been warned.
Hang on. BZ just caught. Did you hear that? He's like, they're zooming in, and BZ's. Hang on. BZ's mouth relaxed, and he leaned towards the screen. I don't know what that was about.
I know.
I don't. Now his hips are relaxing.
I don't
This is
know what's
kind of
going
weird.
on.
I can't watch BZ watch this.
He really likes politics.
Michaela's keeping it together pretty well, but
I don't
BZ
know.
has
She's not.
BZ has a slack jaw and relaxed hips, and this is kind of weird.
Okay, all right. You know,
Hang on, BZ. I saw you arch your back. To be fair, I saw you arch your back.
for salacious terms, and actually for reality, I'm going to have to play this again.
So, Michaela, you don't need to run to the screen again.
I could not. I'd never seen that video. Some people said it's been around for a while. I had never seen that until today, and I was generally uncomfortable. And it takes a lot for me to get to that point. But first of all, whoever just said BZ is a professional in the chat room is a liar. But
That was BZ.
There you go.
But it was one of those videos that I saw, and I'm like, how has this not been out before? How has this not been bigger than what it is?
Wait, you said bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is per Sackhead Michaela, it looked pretty big. So that's
So if you haven't Googled Obama on a plane, go ahead and do it with Save Search off and join the vomit.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
I had to make the screen. I literally had to make the screen bigger.
I can't. I wish I had a video camera on him. For
I
that,
know.
because that was amazing. But that's exactly how I responded today. It was
Glad I wasn't
frightening.
drinking my Diet Coke.
Oh man. Yeah, you can go to Reaver.1 and the video is actually on there, and that's where I first saw it on Jersey Joe's website.
Oh my God.
And I hadn't seen it anywhere else before, and it still hurts. It just hurts. Because we have all the creepy talk in the video right now about this person, that person, whatever. That's going to make the list, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
for a public official. Listen, if he was like nonchalantly talking and turn around and just like, but he wasn't.
They're talking about something that occurred 11 years ago. This occurred in 2008.
Right.
while he was campaigning
While he was
for
campaigning.
president of the United States.
What the hell?
It's just really disturbing. And maybe partially jealous. Now, we have a good list of what?
We do. We do have to say hello to our ambulance chasing attorney Hack.
Oh, good. Attorney
Friend.
Hack, thank you so much
Yep,
for listening this evening.
And B-Dub.
B-Dub, Box Wine, say hello to Box Wine.
To B-Dub.
And of course, all of our good friends in chat, a bunch of people in there, Patriot 1776, BZ. I don't know how he got in there. I thought we locked him out.
I thought we blocked him already.
I found a workaround.
Ralph, Ken, Mary, Carrie, Norans.
Did you say Harry Carey?
No, not Harry Carey. I'm not listening to anyone smart ass. Let's go to the topics.
So look, I have the first topic. It's perspective of a college co-ed.
Okay.
So this was posted by Nighthawk from Step Brothers.
Go on.
Wasn't sure if we were going to go with Dragon
No,
or Nighthawk.
we'll go with Nighthawk.
But since I know this co-ed's iPhone, Siri actually calls her Nighthawk, we're going to go with Nighthawk
Okay.
on this one. And this is from a very bright young lady who may or may not be related to one of the Sackheads. But she had a post, and I thought it was brilliant. And I asked her if I could share it. And she said, I think the direct quote was, "Let me get this straight. You want to share my fucking awesomeness?" And I said, well, yeah, of course I do. Why wouldn't I?
Right.
And then she wanted to charge me like $1,000.
Right, which the check's in the mail.
Which the check's totally in the mail. No, but she was sweet enough to say, oh, yeah, absolutely, share it. And I thought it was interesting coming from her perspective. And so I want to read it. I'm going to read it verbatim. I kind of want to get your reaction because I think it's an interesting discussion point. I've actually shared this with a couple other people and had the opportunity to discuss it. I don't know if Sackhead Michaela wants to weigh in because she may be able to relate. But I know you, Miss Debater. You might not be able to help yourself. Michaela's over here staring at me like she might want to jump
Well, why
in.
don't you clue the rest of us in on what she might be so...
Simmer down there, princess. All right. So I'm quoting now. I try to stay quiet of the political rants and just share funny political memes, but I can't this time. Trump said some shit. It's not okay, but I can't freak out about it. I'm a young woman. I'm feminism and girl code oriented, but I can't. There's so much more to this election than things Trump said and recently tried to dismiss from 11 years ago. We are stuck between a rock and a hard place here, and I'm praying the lesser of the two evils comes out on top. I can live with someone with a corrupt mouth. I can't live with someone with a corrupt soul. I thought that was interesting.
Very, very insightful.
That's a
actually.
nice analogy. I like that.
Yeah.
But it goes on. It's acceptable for a quote-unquote leader to speak disrespectful of Americans, calling them quote-unquote deplorable, yet she wants to lead those deplorable citizens. The irony. It's okay for her to say disrespectful things because she's Hillary Clinton and she's going to save the world with her child advocacy, defense plans, and fierce feminism, defending rapists, including her husband. Yeah, total feminist move. I wouldn't want anyone to even remotely say what Trump said about my daughter. However, I also wouldn't want my 12-year-old daughter to be sexually assaulted and be defended later and later laughed at by Hillary child advocate Clinton and the baby rapist who ended up getting a plea bargain. I also would not want my son to be a part of any one in Benghazi who trusted our great nation and Secretary of State to help when was called for, and help was essentially ignored and got others killed. Great defense plan, Hill. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Trump is an asshole. What he said sucks. Like I said, I can't freak out. At least he's not a historically compulsive liar, but people seem quick to forget Hillary's shortcomings because Trump said disgusting things years ago. A vote for Hillary is not a vote for feminism. I thought that was interesting also. Mm-hmm. Respect to my liberal friends. It's not a personal attack.
No reason for that.
Happy Tuesday, y'all. And then with the asterisk, cue the comment flood about what a brute I am, followed by hearts. So I kind of want to get your. I thought, look, for a 20-year-old young lady, young woman, to have.
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
These thoughts and to be able to, first of all, have the courage to post it, because she didn't post it under a pseudonym or an alias. She posted it under her real name. I'm not gonna put her out there to the world and
okay.
All
we won't
three
out her,
people
but
that
we
listen
will
to us.
certainly discuss the topic first of all, and then the response.
Right.
I very much appreciate that response, and obviously she's referring to the comments from 11 years ago where Donald Trump, who was a television star at the time, was on a bus with Billy Bush. With the bus with the guy with an ironic last name. Now,
right. When did Trump and President Bush ever?
First and foremost, I've said this before, and I said it the other night on High Plains Pundit after the convention debate, rather. Part of me felt that at that point, Trump actually knew he had another guy giggling, and what guy on the face of this planet, when you're with a couple friends or an individual, once you realize you have somebody kind of laughing, doesn't continue on with ridiculous banter.
No, that is exactly locker room talk.
It happens
That's
on our show every week.
And that was the point I make. I said, hey, you know what? We talk about throwing rocks at hookers as a joke on this show, right?
Which is hilarious.
Right. But it's sarcasm. It's funny. Now, listen, that being said, if he was serious, you don't know what was in his heart at the time, per se. If he was 100% serious, then yeah, nobody would want their child to be talked about that way. But
joking or serious.
But the reality is, it happens all the time. I bring up 50 Shades of Grey. It wasn't a bunch of guys reading that book that sold 80 million copies. All right, so 20 million were guys.
Right.
I bring up, huh? Yeah.
Yes. We had to get ideas.
I bring up the felon model, the guy who went to prison, and all the women were fawning over this guy who was a convicted felon going to prison.
Yeah.
I bring up all of those different things where you read social media and the inappropriate things that are said. I don't take it to heart. right? When people make silly jokes, all that other stuff, I don't take it to heart. Now, could I see why the woman who they were talking about would absolutely be offended, her family, her loved ones? Okay, sure, if they wanted to get offended. But why is anyone else, again, offended by things that somebody said not about them?
You know why? Because
it's a reason for outrage.
It is.
That's all that is.
Yes, our country is offended and pissed off when they decide they want to be offended and pissed off.
Exactly.
You look at half the TV shows, more than half the TV shows out there, and how they portray women and how they portray, I mean, you name it, society, moral values,
look
all that other
Sackheads.
Stuff. It's right. No, but
we do it with satire for a reason.
We do a satire for a reason, but I'm talking about we're not ever legitimately racist, legitimately mean, or legitimately sexist when we're talking about broads or anything other like that.
Right. It's funny.
It's hilarious.
And usually we're poking fun at ourselves more than anyone else.
It's hilarious and it's insensitive.
It's hilariously insensitive.
Right.
But so isn't our entire show.
Right. But I can understand how some women would be like, yeah, you can't just really talk about, grabbing women and kissing them if you want to. It's like, if you had a game or something where you objectify women as they walk by. But it happens.
It does happen. And one of the things that I put out on Facebook, and I called out some people privately, people that had like this false outrage. I can't believe he would say such a thing. And I sent them messages, and I'm like, dude, I can remember being drunk at a bar with you.
Right.
Some of the conversations that we've had, myself including, saying very inappropriate things. I own it, because I'm a guy. We say stupid things that we sometimes regret later. Sometimes you don't. But it's not for the person we're talking about as much as it is making us laugh. It's usually done in satire. Now, was that complete satire? I don't know, but I think on some level it absolutely was.
I think it was, especially since he's getting a reaction. He's one of the guys, right? He's one of the guys. Yeah.
But one of the things about that video that pissed me off more than anything else is how dumb people are to realize the timing of it. It wasn't like that thing's been sitting on a shelf for 11 years, and somebody that day was like, hey, we got it. Oh, my God. As soon as Trump...
This is so horrible.
As soon as he announced that he was interested in running for president, NBC, being the mainstream media scumbags that they are, went over every single piece of video, audio, and everything that had Trump's name on it, because all of that is documented. They know exactly what they have.
But now Bush gets fired.
Right. So, and that's the other thing.
So,
it's amazing who they will destroy. And Billy Bush...
Trump should send a private message to him, say, you're fired.
Billy Bush, well, and he was an upcoming NBC star, right? He was on Access Hollywood for years. They were kind of pushing him to the Today Show, probably going to eventually be the anchor at some point, or on the main show itself, not the after show. They were grooming him until that video hit.
And then, how long have they known that video existed?
They knew it was coming for 11 years.
And they're firing him now?
Absolutely.
That's such
But
bullshit.
That's how you know and nothing but Clinton is what I call NBC now. That's how you know that it was a hit job. And it wasn't just, and they said, oh, it was leaked to WAPO and all this other. No. They absolutely did themselves a favor by saying WAPO had it leaked so they can take some sort of innocent stance of, we were going to release it, but it was going to be on our terms, and we didn't know when we were going to release it. Bullshit. We all know it's bullshit.
No, it is bullshit, and that's coming up at the 8:30 hour when you're talking about the media and Hillary. But I want to circle it back again to the reaction and the perspective of this. Now, do you think that Nighthawk is the only young woman in America that feels that way?
No, absolutely not.
Because I venture to say that other women in her position, in her similar situation, would have that outrage. Some of it false. Some of it because I think young women and young kids, particularly in college, not young kids, but young adults in college, are told they need to be offended by certain things,
right?
Or told they need to be outraged at certain things,
right?
Look what's preached in terms of social justice and all this other stuff at that level. Safe zones, be safe from people's speech. Isn't college a place to explore alternate ideas?
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be, right? So I thought her perspective is interesting. And that's somebody that, gets it. Whether she votes for Trump or whether she votes third party or whoever she votes for, I think she hit the nail on the head when she's talking about
The lesser of the evils.
Yeah, the lesser of the evils, and the fact that we kind of talking about a little bit before the show, where she really hit on the point of, hey, you're talking words versus actions, right? What's worse, words or actions? And I know some people on the left will spin it and say, oh, well, words have meaning,
Right.
Don't hand me that.
Yeah,
That's such a load of crap.
But you know what?
Joe made a good point here in chat. Joe said basically, I've been in ERs where I've heard nurses talk in language that's much more than that.
Oh, yeah.
My ex-wife was a nurse. I used to listen to them talk, strictly females, back and forth to each other in emergency situations in the ER, and it was just like that. I used to work in an all-female environment in another profession, and I literally was the only man in that environment. They would make truckers blush. So, spare me the faux umbrage about what Trump said. There's another school of thought. NBC leaked it. Now there's some stuff going on, and people are asking, did Paul Ryan help?
Listen,
I say in response to that, if it's discovered that Paul Ryan assisted with that, there's going to be hell to pay.
I've said this week that I think Paul Ryan is a sheep in wolf's clothing, and what I mean by that is I think that he's already bowing to Hillary because he's afraid to stand up to her. He's in fear that if she gets into office, he already knows if Trump gets into office, he's not going to like him. But he's afraid that if Hillary gets in, she's not going to play well with him. So if he doesn't start sheeping up now and show that he can do her bidding, then he's in trouble. And I really believe that. I think that he is a sellout.
But here's the problem with that. There's obviously lots
There's
of
a million
problems
with
that.
it.
Obviously. But the biggest one is, as Speaker of the House, he has a ton of power.
Right.
Regardless of who's in there. Even if it's Hillary or Trump, he has a ton of power. He has the power of the purse.
Right.
And, was it Trump that said, or
Yeah,
somebody from his, or was it somebody from his campaign that said if he gets elected, Paul Ryan's going to have a different job? Hey, guess what? That's not your job as president. Speaker of the House has nothing to do with President of the United States. Sorry.
But here's the thing, and you say that, and I agree. It should be a very strong position. It is not, and that's the biggest problem. And I think that's what a lot of people have problems with today's politics, right? Everybody
Pelosi
on the Washington
was stronger
inside,
in that position.
Right. Everybody who's on the inside now, though, is trying to cover their ass and play games nicely with everyone else. And when people are standing up against them, they go after them as much as they can. There's no leadership anymore. It's sheep on sheep, and it's frightening.
Don't get turned on, BZ.
He's a killer.
I'd like to point out something that I'm not sure that a lot of people realize. A lot of the people that are moving from Trump now, I wrote down who they are. I remember that Kelly Ayotte was one of them. Basically, they're people from the Gang of Eight. So there are 4 people that I can think of. McCain, Ayotte, Flake, and a few others who were pushing amnesty. It's those exact same people who were pushing amnesty who are now backing away from Trump. Is that a coinky-dink? I don't think
cowards.
so.
Cowards, and they're trying to be part of the old guard. They want to be the old guard where it was backroom deals and we take care of each other, which is why Congress has a 14% approval rating.
Well, the old guard's dead.
Right.
And there's a reason there was an uproar in Congress.
Right.
Okay, here we go.
I think more people are getting the idea of what's at stake in this election and trying to put some of that into perspective. There's some critical thinking going on. Nighthawk displayed some critical thinking in that article. I wish more younger people exhibited some critical thinking. And look, I don't care if you don't vote for Trump, but I don't understand how anybody could vote for Hillary.
Well, and I think that's in the next topic too.
I think that's going to be in the next topic too. But just having that perspective from somebody who's in that position is interesting. It makes me have hope for the future. It's not totally lost.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you hope that more and more people find out. BZ, you said you had found something you wanted.
I found the people that backed off. It's Kelly Ayotte. from New Hampshire.
Yep.
She says she can't support Trump. She won't vote for him. Susan Collins, Maine, says she can't support Trump. Jeff Flake, Arizona, says Trump needs to withdraw from the race. Mark Kirk, Illinois. John McCain, Arizona. Lisa Murkowski, Alaska. Folks, these are the Gang of Eight. These are the people that wanted amnesty. And it's clear Mr. Trump does not.
Well, and, say what you want, and I've said this time and again. I don't mind if you don't vote for Trump. That's your choice. But if you're one of those independents or people on the fence or whoever you may be, forget Trump. Take Trump out of this equation. If Hillary Clinton was running unopposed, would you still vote for her based on her record?
How could you?
Right. And that's what we're missing overall here with a lot of people.
Right.
Is they're looking at her, they're going in, we talked about this before on the show, pulling the handle for the D, right, for the Democrat. It doesn't matter who's in there. You look at, and we're going to talk about Podesta, but you look at everything we know up until this point, before the emails were even released about Hillary. How could you allow her and be part of that election, putting her in office? And like I said, if she ran totally unopposed.
Look, there's so much, even not just the person that she appears to be, right? Not just the person she is in terms of her conduct, which I believe to be criminal in a lot of respects. And the person,
not the only one.
No, and the person that she, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later too. But the realizing what's at stake in this country, and particularly the Supreme Court. Look, if Trump dropped out of the election and Mike Pence led the ticket, I would be the happiest man in the country.
That'd be fine. I could vote for Pence.
That
I
would
could
be
vote for Pence,
amazing.
I have issues with Pence, too, though. I'm the first to admit it.
Like, we have issues with everybody on some level.
Right.
But that would be amazing if Pence took over. But the only reason that I have to seriously look at Trump for a vote, it's not because I like him personally. It's not because I think he's a great
Supreme Court.
Supreme Court. That's going to shape the nation for the next 45 years. So if gun rights or if religious liberty is at all important to you as a voter,
who do you think will shoot down more of your freedoms?
You got to
Donald Trump,
yeah,
or Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, because I'll tell you what.
But the problem,
I'll tell you what. Hillary Clinton is going to be given Chief Justice Barack Obama to the Supreme Court,
or Michelle Obama,
and
they're both attorneys.
But the scariest part about that is there are those on the left who feel that those rights are okay to be gone. Some of those rights. Well, we don't need that. The government will protect us.
Well, that's because they believe rights come from government.
Exactly.
And it's because they have no sense of history.
Exactly.
They have not studied history.
Nor will they. They study Democrat history. We're up against the break.
And it's because that they don't... I just wanted to say and because.
When we come back, the mainstream media, Hillary Clinton's best friend, all that and more on the Sackheads Radio Show live in the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
Dude, I'm not saying cop was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplains.dailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hey, if you're listening abroad and you're not in live chat, go to shrmedia.com. You can click on live chat and jump in. Plenty of space in there for you to say hi to some of our friends.
Because we've expanded that now.
We did expand live chat. We put out the extra couple pennies a month. I actually had it twisted out of me, but I was able to do it. And and you know, when it comes to money, I'm not a big spender. So.
Well, it's nice to see there's so many people in chat.
It is nice to see chats filling up a little bit. White Mamba wants to know if Sacco got on the ball this week. He noticed there was more than 10 people in a seemingly non-racist chat roll on SHR. And he wants to know where Ken's paycheck is. A couple different things about that. I don't believe in reparations, A, for Ken. And B, I actually upgraded the chat. So stop giving Sacco all this credit, you son of a... I spent a good 5 days working on how to do it. But I did it, and that's what's important. No, Sacco is not on the phone.
Did Sacco remote in?
Shut up.
Look, props to you. Props to you.
Thank
from
you.
me.
Thank you
for doing that.
Thank you.
That's a wonderful
If
thing.
I believed you did it on your own, I would also give you props. Sacco, thanks for helping him out. Great job, brother.
I hate your stupid face. So,
your stupid face.
Your stupid face.
To go back to your home on Whore Island. I love that movie. Somebody said that to me today. I about fell over laughing. Such a great line. So, the mainstream media for Hillary Clinton. And Jersey Joe's been covering this quite a bit in the morning and wrote a great article on it on Reaver.1. But the simple reality is, even Fox News, which usually carry the more conservative side of things, has started to almost slide towards Hillary a little bit more. Yes.
No.
Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly just doesn't like Trump because he...
That's a personal thing.
Yeah,
that's
but
a personal thing.
But
That's
it doesn't
personal.
matter. It shouldn't matter.
Well, it shouldn't.
But it does.
But it does.
But it does. And she's the only one.
No.
I mean, Hannity now is pro-Hillary.
You got Geraldo.
Okay.
Speaking of which, did you see the photograph of Geraldo?
Yes. The one of him in front of the mirror? Yeah, that's an old one, but that's a good one. Actually, Geraldo came out and apologized to Trump on Twitter for slamming him for the comments that were made after everybody.
Yeah, then all those photographs of Geraldo came out.
Lambasted Geraldo for posing naked in front of the mirror. And then all of a sudden he was apologetic.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, the only good thing about the difference between him and Weena is the fact that Geraldo didn't go further south.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but you start looking at what is being pushed, and all you have to do is go to the web pages, right? CNN, no matter what Trump or Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, because they're still technically in the race, and I want to give them a little bit of credit, too.
Do you realize you said Weiner, Pushed, and Johnson all in a matter of 3 sentences?
Yes, I did.
Nice work.
And everyone said, somebody yelled at me this week for not mentioning them enough. And I
not mentioning what?
For not mentioning Johnson and Weld.
Who yelled at you?
It doesn't matter.
Tell them to get their own show. They can mention it all they freaking want.
But I have mentioned it, both of them, a couple times in social media and some other places, and I follow when they speak, just because they are a player in this, right? Even if they're not necessarily a player to win, but they could suck up a few electorates. So they are absolutely involved in the election, in my opinion. So I have been following them. But the simple reality is it doesn't. I know. It doesn't matter what is.
If I could fist bump you from here, I would.
Thank you.
It doesn't matter what's being thrown out there. They are still going all in on Hillary. MSNBC sleaze, CNN, the Clinton News Network, NBC, CNBC, they're totally in for Hillary. And it shocks me how transparent their efforts are. And it doesn't, I know it shouldn't shock me anymore. But usually in these cycles, like they did with Obama, they pushed at the beginning, and then when we got close to the election, they all of a sudden went into like legitimacy mode, where we're just going to start reporting versus opinionating. And they haven't done that in this election. Usually it starts about 2 months prior, so after the election they could play those clips showing how balanced they are. Mm-hmm. And you're not seeing that now. You're seeing total one-sided pro-Hillary stuff being put on there, and anything that Trump would do that would be considered positive, or Johnson or Weld or Pence, who's had some great speeches in the last few days, they're burying it. You go to Yahoo, and I know Yahoo's a complete leftist-run organization, but their front news page, it's every single article, if it's about Hillary, is pro-Hillary, with the exception of like a few WikiLeaks Podesta things like that they have to jam in. And other than that, it's all negative Trump. You looked at even social media. Facebook, we all know that Facebook silences conservatives. That's a known fact. It's not a question.
Same thing for Twitter.
Twitter, there was. Did you see the latest thing that was trending on Twitter, and everyone was trying to say it was Trump voters that were doing this? It was the repeal one.
Well, there was one particular conservative that was very popular on Twitter, and then all of a sudden he vanished.
Yes.
Have you heard of what's it called on Twitter? Shadow banning.
Yes.
Okay. There's a guy named Scott Adams who is the cartoonist for Dilbert.
Yep.
All right. Scott Adams made a few positive Trump comments, and his readers on Twitter came back and said, dude, I can't get to see you anymore. You're shadow banned. Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Well,
you're going to affect a guy that draws a cartoon and begin to censor him.
But I've said this with Facebook, and I've seen it on Twitter, even with me. If I tweet at Hillary Clinton enough, all of a sudden I can't access or update my Twitter for a few hours. I don't get suspended. I don't get banned. I just can't do anything.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I'm back. Like, we didn't know.
But technical difficulties.
Right.
Oh, it's fine. Nothing
like
to see
today,
here.
I had a few hours where I was able to get on Twitter, and I was really starting to wind things up and go after different stories and stuff like that and be active. And all of a sudden, I couldn't update Twitter. I couldn't get a feed. None of my posts were going. They were getting saved to draft.
Have you ever had Twitter come back to you and say that this tweet cannot be accessed?
Yes.
I've had some of my tweets come back and say it cannot be accessed. So don't tell me that these people aren't watching, that there isn't some kind of an algorithm that is embedded within Twitter, and that's all I can speak to. I can't speak to Facebook. I'm not on Facebook.
So why doesn't a conservative start a conservative Twitter?
They've tried.
Company.
Everyone's tried, but the problem is the people. So here's the thing: for conservatives, we like to engage people in conversation about our beliefs, right?
Yeah, everybody.
Right. The left doesn't. The left doesn't want to hear you. But conservatives, for the most
because
part,
they don't have facts. They have emotion.
Right. Right. They argue everything on emotion.
Right.
And so they've tried it a few different times with a Facebook-like profile and other things, but it's all conservatives. And what happens is we all sit in a room and nod and head and agree. Like there's no back and forth. There's no conversation.
That's no fun.
And one of the things that I've seen now, and I think it's absolutely amazing, is you look at CNN and all those other leftist news organizations. If you see what's trending on social media, that's what's trending on their webpage. That's what the stories that they're covering. And I know sometimes those two can play a very critical role, right? If it's a terrorist attack or major news. But even little things, and if you pay close attention, they follow the algorithms of social media, and that's what makes it to their main page.
I think that's more a function not of the news organizations following the algorithm or what's trending. I think that's more a function of those news agencies are following those more liberal stories, that more liberal perspective, and so that's what people are tweeting about and putting on social media. Because that's where they get. They're not watching like we do, right? Where we check stories from CNN, MSNBC, from various sources, from various stories, right? Including Huffington Post as well as Fox News and other networks, right?
All those guys.
So they're not doing that. So of course it makes complete sense to me that their tweets and their Facebook posts or social media posts follow what's trending in those liberal media outlets. Because if you look at like the news stories that's at the top of Fox News, it's never the same news stories that are the top of NBC or any of those other organizations. I mean, maybe one if there's something really major out there, but otherwise, it's not. And even the headlines are worded completely differently, and everything else. And Fox News is spun by the left to be some far right. Look, if you think Fox News is far right, you're out of your freaking mind.
Yeah.
Okay, you are out of your freaking mind.
I agree.
Fox News is not far right. Fox News has some conservative shows and some conservative commentators, but Fox News does a pretty good job, I think, of presenting both sides. And they have intelligent people that argue both sides. Kirsten Powers is one. She's a liberal, brilliant lady. I enjoy hearing her perspective when she's debating and talking about points. Not that I agree with her, because I don't on a lot of issues, but she gives a thoughtful, well-grounded, logical, intelligent response to questions. And when it comes to the emotional argument, she really doesn't fall in line with that too much. And I've heard her say where the left is wrong in certain issues. Now, she has more liberal views than I do on most things, and that's fine. But she'll call it straight up from her perspective, which is something I respect and appreciate about her. You watch the conservatives that are on these other networks, and they're like the Forrest Gumps of the conservative movement.
No, they have that. They're not sufficiently facile to make a good damn argument.
Correct. And so they become people that they use.
They're the butt of that particular network and that show.
They really are. Whereas Fox has Geraldo Rivera, right?
Juan Williams.
Kirsten
who, by the
Powers.
way, came out Sunday night and said that Trump won the debate almost immediately.
Oh yeah, right after.
I was blown away.
You have Kirsten Powers. You have Alan Combs, who's kind of a wingnut, but sometimes he has an intelligent argument. But they have several liberal folks that are very, very intelligent. Bill O'Reilly calls it pretty straight up on a lot of things.
He just pisses people off.
What's that?
He just pisses people off. That's why they don't like him.
Who, O'Reilly?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Conservatives and liberals.
Yes.
He does. He pisses them off. But he calls it pretty straight up as he sees it, and he has sound, logical arguments to his perspective. I don't agree with him on everything, but he's able to have an intelligent perspective. So that's why I prefer Fox News, because they play it pretty even. I think they do tend to lean more conservative in terms of numbers of conservatives they have. But when they do present that other side, which they do quite often, unless it's a Hannity or something like that, but even Hannity does a pretty good job of presenting the other side. He has Geraldo on and Juan Williams and so forth. But they do a good job. These other news organizations just don't. And it's sad. What are they afraid of? Well, I know what they're afraid of. They're afraid of having an intelligent sounding conservative on there.
Because it'll blow up their argument. Or people that are their base would maybe say, oh, well, yeah, maybe conservatives are intelligent and have a point. Kind of like some conservatives say, hey, these liberals actually have a interesting perspective.
Every once in a great while, it does happen. I agree, and as you watch media, I agree to a point. But as you watch media, and even, like I said, there's a lot of people in the chat room who agree with me on Fox that they've gone a little hooey lately on some people. But you look at even Glenn Beck lately, talking about endorsing Hillary being a moral choice.
Glenn Beck's he's not going to endorse Hillary.
No. He said voting for Hillary is the moral choice. Those are his words.
Yes. So, Glenn Beck is
out of his mind.
He's out of his mind.
He's lost it.
No.
He has. Libertarian Big L.
On the other hand, that's why he has no ratings and the Blaze is tanking.
Yes.
Yeah. He used to have great ratings. Because his arguments were very solid.
Well,
he had
used
solid
to be more
arguments.
Conservative.
Yes. And the other thing is, I'll tell you what, I don't care for proselytization. I don't care to be preached at.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to be preached at, I'll go to church.
Yeah. But a lot of people who listen to back in the day were usually more religious anyhow. So the proselytization.
Proselytization.
Thank you.
Yes, preaching.
Can't say it's too late at night.
Preaching.
Damn it. Was okay to a lot of those folks. And he's really, the last couple months, he's kind of like the left has been with Trump, right? Where he hates him so bad that he doesn't matter what he says. He just attacks him. And he attacks him for everything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Here's what I say to people that are never Trumpers. Glenn Beck, Michael Medved. I don't even listen to Medved anymore. All he does is make anti-Trump arguments. And you know what? The more you push against Trump, I kind of take it a bit personally because now you're sort of pushing against me. But the question that I have for all of those people is this. If you don't vote for Trump, what's your alternative?
Hillary. I mean, that's the alternative. It's Hillary. I mean, you can maybe try and vote for, Johnson.
But they make arguments as though they're about to produce another argument.
Yeah.
I don't hear it. What is their alternative? I hate Trump for all of these reasons. Okay, all right. What's your alternative? Give me
something.
Anything. That's reliable and cogent for an argument or a suggestion as what do we do as an alternative. I hear nothing.
There is nothing.
There is nothing. Well, it's either him or Hillary.
If he withdrew, you'd have Pence.
Right. Or maybe even Cruz, or there's a bunch of people who could be, right? I mean, they would have to have an emergency vote. Blah, blah. It doesn't
Pence.
matter. It'd be
Pence. He's out there, yeah.
You look at the left media, and it comes down, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I really believe a lot of the media on the left is hoping that when that Democrat gets into government and decides that it will have a state-run media, which will happen, we've already seen them try it, that they will be the one of choice and be part of that inner circle. I really believe that.
We already know what the FEC is doing with regard to that.
Yep.
We already know what the FCC is doing because of that. There is only one Republican on the FCC, Goodman, who is pushing back. That's one individual pushing back on the FCC against this massive tidal wave of leftism.
Yep.
When you lose him, so goes the FCC and then the Federal Election Commission.
Yep.
And we're
That's
screwed.
how close you are.
And we're screwed. We're screwed.
You look like you had something you wanted to say before I cut you off.
I do. No, it's okay. This is actually for you, Sean. Brace yourself. And I bring this up because you hate whales.
I do hate whales.
Scientists killed an endangered orca.
Sons of bitches.
Trying to tag it.
Sons of bitches. I actually heard about that. You know, you environmentalists, why can't you just leave our goddamn whales alone? All right, here's this guy. He's just swimming around, right? Looking for a little fish, maybe looking to make some little baby whales.
Do you want to talk about the story? Because I know where you go with this.
If you hate whales, go south. Go
thought
to
you
London.
might. So let me set it before you go off on your tangent, because I'm going to hit the pause button
He's about
on you
to,
right
isn't
there,
he? You
because
can
he's about to
tell.
lose
Yeah.
his shit.
He's
This
going
is going to be
to.
great. So here's what happens. A group of scientists from the NOAA in Washington State in February, they tried to tag this killer whale.
Yes.
And he tried to tag it and missed, and so they recovered the spear or whatever that they shot at it, recovered it from the water, failed to sanitize it,
spear,
shot the whale again.
Yep.
And the whale was 20 years old, in his prime.
Right.
In his prime. And the whale was black, I think, or had black coloring. So I'm wondering if this is racially motivated. But we'll put a pin in that for a second. No pun intended. But the whale's name was L95. Let's call him Herman. Larry for L. I like that. Let's go with Larry. And the theory was, after the dart was required and fired again, that it formed a bacterial infection, which ultimately led to this whale's death. Now, Sean, take it away.
First of all, I want to point out the whale was half black, half white.
Right.
It's an orca.
So, racially motivated?
It could very well be.
We don't know. That's an angle we're looking at.
So for all the times...
Joe put in this thing in here. There's a bumper sticker. I didn't know you guys had a bumper sticker that said,
yes, I hate whales. Yes.
I just got it.
Hence the irony of this story.
I just got it.
Welcome to the party, BZ.
The ultimate irony is I really like whales. I think they're awesome and amazing creatures, right? I think they're just cool.
And now one's dead.
But just like
at the hands of researchers.
But we've seen this with the EPA, right? Their so-called fixing pumped all that filthy mine water into a river and destroyed that river in the Midwest.
Focus. Let's talk about whales, Sean.
But now you see the left's trying to help whales by tagging them, right? Now, first of all, I love how these environmentalists talk about how you can't go 50 feet on a boat near a friggin' whale just to look at it, right? That used to be science. As a kid, when you went on whale watches, they pulled up right next to it so you could actually learn about it, right? Now, you can't go within 200 yards of a friggin' whale watch.
You can shoot them with a damn dart, though.
But these assholes can pull out a goddamn spear, claim to be professionals, throw it in the water, realize that the water naturally has some bacterial issues, and then they turn around and they bring it back and don't sanitize it like you would for any other injection on any other animal.
Right. Were they pissed that they missed?
Right.
Was it the whale's fault?
Were they drunk?
Screw this guy. I'm going to hit him now and not sanitize.
And then they're going to throw it in again and expect everything to be all right. First of all, I don't think we should be tagging whales and sharks.
First of all, you're saying it nice. You're saying they threw it. They actually shoot it.
Yes, they shoot it. You're right. It's actually compressed air like a...
it's a firearm.
It is a firearm.
Well, that's what the
lives
Japanese do when they hunt whales.
Right.
They
shoot it with a giant
difference?
harpoon. It's the harpoon. And then you have this poor whale. Like I said, I actually like whales. Orcas are amazing creatures, right? They're pretty damn impressive. I mean,
intelligent,
very, very smart.
You've seen all the videos of the
orcas actually kill people.
Hunting seals in a pack,
Yep.
tipping ice floes so they fall off.
Tipping boats.
Going
so that
up
people
just
that are
very
messing
smart.
with them.
They actually go up just underwater.
Remember the fishermen that were screwing with them?
Yeah,
and so
it swung them over.
Yes. And killed them.
Yes. They use the waves. A lot of people don't know this. They'll come in just underwater to grab a seal off the shore, and they'll use the waves, a slim amount of water, to change their vision. It actually uses it to increase their vision, almost like glasses, so they can better target the whale and then note
the seal.
The seal, rather.
And we're talking about the animal, not the Navy personnel.
Right. They don't go after the seals.
Right.
And once again, these assholes the leftist environmentalist douchebags. Oh, we're trying to make the thing better again, and we need to know where he eats his dinner under fucking water. That's where he eats his dinner. Just before you reproduce, you like it if I jumped on your back and jabbed a spear into you so I know what bar you're going to pick up some trash bag? No! Leave the damn things alone. You ever think I just think it's so presumptive of us. It's almost like when people say that we change the environment. It's so presumptive. I have more respect for those animals than they do because I don't think that they should be jammed with a spear and followed around every single part of their life. I think that they should live their life, and if we happen to see them while we're on the boat, freaking great. Right? Say hi, high five the fin, let them go back to eating, chasing down tail, whatever they want to do. But no, here's these guys. Well, this dude is
jabbing them with sticks.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of my cousin Vinny. Here, you put your little deer lips to the brook, and bam! Your fucking head explodes.
But, when we talk about environmentalism, and we always talk about like how conservatives, actually, especially those who hunt, fish, etc., actually take far better care of the environment than the leftists do, right? They want to tag everything, track everything, control everything, because that's what they do. They want to have total control over every single thing they oversee. Whereas conservatives don't really want overhunting, overfishing, because they understand the replenishment. Usually they keep the wild areas very, very clean.
The fishing industry, the crabbing industry are both excellent examples of that.
Yes, I have a buddy of mine, I have a couple friends of mine who are hunters. And one of the things that they always do is if they see trash while they're out hunting, they pick it up and take it back.
Yep.
Because they understand the circle of life that goes involved in it. And when we think that we're so important that we could start jabbing these things into whales because we need to know what they do. They've been doing it since before we were tracking them, and they're going to do it forever. That's what they do. And I hate to say it, if some species die off, that's been going along before humans even showed up, right? Some species die off, and a stronger species takes its place.
At some point, we are going to die off.
Yes.
As human beings.
Absolutely.
We're going to. The sun's going to burn out. The sun's going to nova. The sun, whatever. At some point, we're going to die, whether it's an earthquake, an asteroid,
or a nuke. We might kill ourselves.
We are going to die out.
That's the same argument that I used with my mother because I didn't want to do the homework. Guaranteed.
At some point, we're going to die
We're all going to explode anyway. What's the point?
Right.
Just remember, I hate whales. We're up against a break. When we come back, Podesta emails, Anonymous, all this other crap right here on the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Back in a minute.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cop was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on SHRmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on SHRmedia.com and HighPlainsDailyNews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
So, welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. Thank you so much for joining us. We're getting breaking news now of 2 Boston police officers that have been shot. It's happened in the East Boston section of Boston. It's known as Orient Heights, right near the airport, if you've ever been to the airport in Boston.
Are you reading the Boston Herald, or which one are you reading?
Sure. We'll go with the Herald.
No, actually, the reason I'm asking is because I'm on the Boston Herald right now, and all it says is 2 Boston police officers have been shot and wounded. 2 suspects are in custody in a shooting at Gladstone Street in East Boston.
Yep.
A police superior officer said at the scene, the shooting happened at about 11 p.m. in Orient Heights. No immediate word on the condition of the wounded officers. That's all I have. Do you have anything else?
Yes. I'm being
Cool.
told one was shot in the arm, one was shot in the groin. They're both expected to recover. I'm also being told that one suspect is deceased in the return of fire, and
Okay.
another one is in custody. Allegedly, they were responding to a call for a singular male with a gun, and it looks like they came under fire as soon as they arrived on scene. So I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. It's a very strange occurrence just to be immediately under fire. And also, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Also, in kind of a strange circumstances, did you guys hear about the plane in Connecticut?
Yes.
Yes.
Near the
Yes.
Pratt and Whitney, a Jordanian national was
Yeah.
learning how to fly it, allegedly. There was some sort of struggle with him and the instructor, and the plane ended up hitting a pole and crashing.
Yep.
And it was allegedly intentional. They were flying near the Pratt and Whitney headquarters, which is a major military provider of equipment, especially airplane engines.
Yes.
And the FBI is investigating that.
So this pilot may be a hero. You're saying if he saved
The
the plane from
instructor, it
crashing,
sounds like the
maybe?
instructor. The
And
instructor may
he
have
was
been a
already
hero.
talking to FBI agents, saying that that's exactly what the guy was trying to do.
The instructor lived.
Yes.
Yes, he's in intensive care. He's got burns over a lot of his
The
body.
Jordanian guy's dead.
The
He's
Jordanian
dead.
guy's
Correct.
dead, and apparently he started talking right away.
Well,
The
the
instructor,
dead guy? That's
the
weird.
instructor.
The
Oh.
survivor, yes.
Go ahead.
I do want to touch on something because I know you got a big segment to get to.
No, it's fine.
Here, but real quick, did you see Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg weighed in on the Colin Kaepernick thing?
Yes, she said.
She said it's dumb and disrespectful.
Wow.
Yes.
Of all people.
I was surprised.
I was surprised also, but good for her. She says she wouldn't arrest him for it. She wouldn't have him arrested for it. He has the right to do it.
Certainly he does.
But that it's dumb and disrespectful, and that it's as dumb as burning the American flag.
Yeah.
She says, quote, "I think it's really dumb of them. Would I arrest them for doing it? No. I think it's dumb and disrespectful. I would have the same answer if you asked me about flag burning. I think it's a terrible thing to do, but I wouldn't lock a person up for doing it. I would point out how ridiculous it seems to me to do such an act. If they want to be stupid, there's no law that should be preventative.
I agree.
If they want to be arrogant, there's no law that prevents them from that. What I would do is strongly take issue with the point of view that they are expressing when they do that.
I agree with her that it should not be outlawed.
Good for her.
Good for her for saying something right. I've always said
Unusual.
somebody, I've talked to people who think it should be outlawed, and I said no, because now you know who the assholes are.
Right.
Right. This isn't. There's
no secret assholery going on.
Right. This isn't Germany in 1932. I believe that we should still have the right to disagree, even if you look like a complete douchebag. I'm actually glad, because now you're a public douchebag versus a private one, and we know who you are and what you stand for.
The First Amendment was not created for pablum speech or basic speech. It was designed to protect a challenging speech.
Right.
And if someone else's speech is threatened, so is mine.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. So I'm glad Ruth said that. Maybe there's a little bit of sanity left in her. Who knows? Want to move
Who's
on?
sanity?
Huh?
What?
No, not Sean Hannity. Sanity.
Oh, okay. I thought
Sean,
it was S.
No, I got you.
I thought it was S. Hannity.
Right. No,
is what you were saying.
that would be
Okay.
Shanity. So let's move on to the Podesta emails. This is one of those things. Where do you start? A whole bunch of them dropped from WikiLeaks. Everything from Podesta, and they're from other people. Podesta seems to be the nexus of a lot of these emails coming from his server. One of them is on WikiLeaks. This is a Podesta email to another Hillary conspirator, co-worker. Both responses are true, yet I have another observation about her speech. It is further evidence Mrs. Clinton is at best a mediocre presidential candidate. She was lackluster in 2008 and worse today. The stiff, off-putting style is familiar. What's more surprising is how sloppy, ill-prepared, and tone-deaf she has become. This is from inside the Democrats. Never mind that she called Latinos needy Latinos when they're trying to get, or he did, when they're trying to get people to come to their side. We got to deal with those needy Latinos, essentially. Insults to African American and the black community.
Mm-hmm.
Insults to everybody. You had Bill Clinton yet again go out in the speech and talk about how all Trump supporters are rednecks.
Yeah,
right?
I saw that.
She calls him deplorable. Is there anybody outside of her circle that she will not insult?
She has two words that she absolutely disdains: everyday Americans.
Yes.
Read the WikiLeaks about that. She said, I have to realize that I'm sort of out of the norm anymore. I'm not an everyday American, meaning that she cannot relate to everyday Americans.
Yes.
No, she considers herself elite.
Yes.
Right.
She considers herself above everyday Americans.
And rich. At least she acknowledges that she's rich.
Right.
Anybody else would be freaking in jail.
Dude.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, I was
later.
going to say, we'll go to that in a
I don't want to
second.
showbiz that segment.
So there's a great list of the long and short of this list of this email dump. And by the way, before I get into that list, Anonymous released, and again, Anonymous is 50-50, right? Some of the stuff they release is dead on. Other times it's like threatening and posturing. And then other times they're just not in the ballpark. But Anonymous released a 5-minute video today. It appears to be from the Anonymous official YouTube channel. And they allege that there is a video of former President Bill Clinton, this is not my words, this is theirs, raping a 13-year-old girl while on that pedophile island with Epstein, that rich guy. This is the one where we have the manifest where he was on it 26 times on this guy's plane.
Mm-hmm.
A couple times he's dodged his security team to get on the plane and bounce around for a few days. I'm going to play a clip of that video just because I want you to hear it in their words, so I'm not saying it. They start talking eventually.
Greetings, world.
We are anonymous. The entire U.S. presidential election is nearing an explosive crisis over a secretly made Israeli intelligence video recording showing former President Bill Clinton raping a 13-year-old girl that Hillary Clinton has kept hidden from public knowledge, with help from the American propaganda mainstream media. But by her embroiling Donald Trump in her husband's sex crimes now threatens it being released. The video recording of Bill Clinton raping this 13-year-old girl was engineered by Israel's Institute for Intelligence and Special Operations clothing shop network, whose main facilitator is the international money man of mystery, Jeffrey Epstein, and who is now being called the billionaire pedophile who could bring down Hillary Clinton. The clothing shop network was originated in the early 1980s by one of the most secretive billionaires in America named Leslie Wexner, and whose father, Harry Wexner, changed from Hagen Wexelstein, emigrated to the United States in the late 1930s from the Jewish Autonomous Oblast, former Soviet Union. The clothing shop network name itself was derived from Leslie Wexner being one of America's top clothers and who owns the US-based fashion retailers L Brands and Victoria's Secret.
So it goes on and on. This is, and
you should have played it.
I can play it.
1982. Wexner recruited Jeffrey Epstein into the clothing shop network by providing him with an estimated $1 billion to establish a private financial firm named J. Epstein and Company, and that Wexner remains the firm's biggest and the only publicly known client. The true purpose of J. Epstein and Company was to allow Jeffrey Epstein to operate within the society circles of America's political elites, and once ensnaring his victims, he allowed them to fulfill their most deviant sexual fantasies, while at the same time secretly video recording them for the purpose of blackmail. Epstein's blackmail victims included many members of Americans and Britain's elites, but with his largest catch being former President Bill Clinton, who was revealed by recently released flight logs revealed to have flown on Epstein's private jet named the Lolita Express to the secluded Sex Toyland, Caribbean island run by Epstein, 26 times, while ditching his Secret Service protectors, and his failing to notice that this band of sin was wired with hidden cameras secretly recording his orgies with underage girls, with Bill Clinton's having had sex with young girls, and Hillary Clinton being advised by the clothing shop network that they had the secretly recorded videos proving it. She then masterminded a plot to set up Donald Trump as a straw man to be her opponent, and as emails prove, and was aided in this effort by America's mainstream media, who gave to the New York City billionaire builder an estimated $3 billion in free media advertising, so that he could become the Republican Party candidate for president. The Hillary Clinton email proving this plot shows her and her accomplices conspiring to set up Donald Trump as their Pied Piper candidate, with some of them suggesting that Senator Ted Cruz or Dr. Ben Carson could, likewise, be set up too. Why Hillary Clinton and her accomplices selected Donald Trump to be their strawman Pied Piper was due to his knowing Jeffrey Epstein too, but who, unlike Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, and others who engaged in sex with young girls on Orgy Island, never committed these grave crimes, and as attested by Miami police detective Mike Fiston, who investigated Epstein's many crimes and stated that in hundreds of interviews with hundreds of witnesses, no one has ever identified Trump as being involved in any kind of sexual activity with underage girls. In fact, Detective Fiston recalls learning in the early 2000s that members of Trump's private Palm Beach club, Mar-a-Lago, complained that Epstein was often accompanied by very young girls, a different girl every week, each of whom he would refer to as his niece, with Hillary Clinton and her accomplices believing they had neutralized Donald Trump by his merely knowing Epstein. However, and their further belief that the avalanche of scandals surrounding Trump would cause his campaign to collapse upon itself, this New York City billionaire, instead, has defied all normal logic and is nearing winning the U.S. presidency. In a last-chance bid to destroy Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton and her accomplices have now paid off a number of Bill Clinton's rape victims to change their story, saying that Trump had raped them, the details of which are contained in a U.S. federal court filing making these absurd allegations, with Hillary Clinton having already proven she will kill to protect the public from knowing of her husband's crimes against young girls, and from the next event in this most dangerous of games will be determined by Clothing Shop Network. And if the past is a predictor of the future, knowing how the Israelis work to keep their nation safe, someone will surely die before this plays itself out. We are anonymous.
So, and here's the thing.
There's not much there.
Well, here's the thing with Anonymous. I'm the first one to admit that they haven't always brought their allegations to light. They've made some allegations. They haven't followed through with it. I also understand that this could very well easily be somebody trying to stir the pot with all the anti-Trump sentiment to try to get out there and make a little. I mean,
there's more anti-Trump sentiment today.
Right.
Right out of the New York Times. More allegations.
That being said,
But this was not anti-Trump that Anonymous was
this
putting
was
out.
anti-Hillary. Well, and that's what I mean. If somebody was trying to kind of get at Hillary a little bit and made this video on behalf of Anonymous, that possibility exists, right?
It does.
But let's look at some of the things that they were talking about. First of all,
I want to set the tone for Anonymous first for a second.
Okay.
They do consider themselves to be righteous.
Yes.
And middle of the road. You may disagree with some of their stuff, and that's fine, but they portray themselves to be Americans, I believe, and middle of the road, correct?
Correct.
So is it possible that they're actually pissed off at what the Clintons are trying to do?
Yep.
And how they're trying to portray Trump, where they're just finally like, no, this ain't right.
Right.
And I don't know. I'm not.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Sean.
that's fine.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
But you have to look at some of the. First of all, the Israeli connection. Would I put it past the Israelis to do something like that, to protect their asses against somebody like Hillary Clinton or the Clintons in general, who they know have power, and depending on when that video was filmed, she could have been Secretary of State. Who knows?
Does it matter?
Right.
It doesn't matter. That video could be 20 years old.
Right.
It don't matter.
So we
there
also
is
know
no statute of limitations for that.
Well, that's a different. That's a whole different argument.
Well, they wouldn't get a prosecution anyways, but
right. So, would I put it past the Israelis? No.
No.
I really wouldn't. Especially because, again, the Democrats have historically not treated the Israelis well. They know that Clinton was going to be making a run again, depending on. It wouldn't shock me.
do you
at
think
all.
the Clintons are shitting at all right now?
If-
or do you think they're just like, nah?
Well, and let's say the video doesn't exist, but the 26 plane rides we know do exist, right? So on some level, Bill's probably listen. You saw his face the other night when Trump walked in the alleged victims.
Oh yeah,
right? I mean, and then blasted him for it, which I thought was absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah.
I wrote on Twitter that Bill will forever be remembered for two things: cum stains on a dress.
Yep.
And that photo.
Yes. That photo sums it up perfectly.
His face when they walked in.
Yeah. So I would not be shocked that even if he thinks that video is out there and he doesn't know for sure, let's say it's all propaganda right now. Just the fact that he went to that island and he knows that they'll probably that the possibility was there, right? He may have done it while he was on the island. I'm not accusing him of anything else, but the possibility is there.
Okay, so if somebody accused you of that,
right,
and it didn't happen, would you not come out and be like, produce the video?
I would be insane.
I did not do a damn thing. Produce the video.
Now,
I want not me on that video. I didn't do anything. I want it out here right now. Bring it out.
Right. I want to see it.
Bring it out.
Let's go public.
But see,
Let's
there
go
you go.
public.
That's using logic.
Right? Because I didn't do anything.
Right. I'll
Bring
sit
it
on
out.
CNN as you play it for the first time.
Yep.
I didn't do anything.
Yep. Let's see what Anonymous has. And then I'd point. I'd be like, that's not me. Or, yeah, that looks like me, but it's not.
Right.
Or,
oh,
whatever,
shit.
right?
And then run out the door while the seat's spinning.
Right. They do exist.
Well, exactly.
He does exist.
Right? Everyone's got a doppelganger, you know? So, but the reality...
And even if the video exists, we're not going to say that, oh, yeah, that's definitely, unless it's a close up and he's
right,
like,
and it's one of those things
my
that...
wife Hillary is...
right. But... you know who Hill is? But seriously, but the potential is there. You look at the 26 rides to the island. We know what happened on that island. We know that
why
island
would he get
was,
on that airplane knowing he's a molester? Is that guy's not in prison, is he?
He's not right now.
Is he in the U.S.?
But well, the island's not. I think where the island is, that we don't have any jurisdiction there.
Right, but is he on the island?
Well, he comes back, but I don't know if. Well, again, though, look who his friends are.
Right.
I mean, listen, we know from more of the Podesta drops that Hillary was asking about deleting those emails, and we know that there's evidence there. And nothing happened. We'll get into that in the next article.
Yeah, well, we didn't even get to the debates.
It's dude. So much has happened since then. It was Sunday.
That's the thing that I find absolutely astounding. As an aside, there is so much information out there that the media is purposely shielding
certain things,
or minimizing, or not covering purposely. And it just never stops.
Yeah.
And still, they're doing everything within their power to support and promote Hillary Clinton.
Did you see Hillary Clinton's face when Trump, during the debate, told her, if I'm elected, you belong in jail?
Yes.
Oh, you're going to jail.
You're going to jail.
Milo.
I'm going to get a special prosecutor, and you're going to jail.
Milo, who is becoming quickly one of my favorite social media go-tos for just funny things like that, has the best. Have you ever seen the Thug Life videos where somebody will say or do something and they thug it up, even though the person... They did one for that, where it's really good that somebody of your temperament isn't in charge of the law, which is funny that she would even say in charge of the law because the Constitution is. But and then he says, "Yeah, that's because you'd be in jail."
Yes.
And then they thug lifed, and I was like, "That just mic drop." He could have walked out right then and been done for the night.
Oh yeah, and he should have.
He absolutely should.
Could you imagine if he took the knife, just dropped it, and walked off stage?
Yes. And now you have this video out of Arkansas of this young man who is black, or at least half black, who's saying that Bill Clinton is his father and that his mother was a prostitute who regularly serviced Bill Clinton and got impregnated by him. And if you look at the video that he put out, and it's a pretty in-depth video. It's not just like some guy who's like, hey, I'm Clinton's kid. Like, he starts recalling dates, so that his mother started telling him when he was young. Hasn't even been entertained by mainstream media. If that was
Furthermore,
done by Trump,
there's a memo from CNN stating they will not cover it.
And if that happened the other way around, where somebody came out and said, hey, I'm Trump's illegitimate kid, they'd blow this up everywhere.
Yep.
Right? So you just look, I know this goes more to our last session of the media all in for Hill, but you look at what's going on, and the whole thing with this potential video, first of all, the whole thing that the Bill Clinton 26 rides on the Lolita Express hasn't even been covered by mainstream for the most part, right? It was a flash in the pan.
Yeah, I hope people get the Lolita connection.
Yes.
The book from Viktor Nabokov.
Yes.
If you haven't seen the movie, you might look at the movie, you might read the novel, and then you'll understand precisely what that means.
Yes, absolutely. And then you look at how many people the Clintons have paid off to stay quiet on a lot of these things.
Did you say knocked off?
Well, that's the other one, too.
No, I was just clarifying what you said.
When everyone's talking about Trump and the allegations that are coming out now, 2 more women have come out and said that he touched them on a plane. And I'm not denouncing their allegations, but you also have to take into account that on certain level, people will say things to get notoriety in this perspective, right? It doesn't mean that they're not victimized, and I'm not saying they're illegitimate, but I'm saying as of right now, they haven't been proven. Whereas a lot of Clinton's alleged victims have been punitively paid off on some level or another.
And the rape case does exist with the 13-year-old. That is beyond question at all.
Yes.
One of the incidents is from 30 years ago. Well, let's dig up something against someone that occurred in the 1960s.
Yes.
Shall we? For example, unsubstantiated. I can make any allegation I wish.
Right. And again, I said I had an argument with somebody the other day who was like, oh, you're defending Trump's behavior for blah, 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 and somebody accused him, and I said, hey, when it goes to trial, I will follow it, and if Trump gets convicted on something, then I will absolutely denounce him. But until there's some sort of civil or payout or punitive or anything like that, I cannot, I can't just jump into it and say it's 100% fact. And I also think that it insults those who have truly been victimized, where they've actually come out and been victimized, versus just saying it when it's appropriate. You look at All of this is coming out October 12th, the week of the 12th, less than a month before the election. After Hillary's getting slammed with these Wikipedia leaks, you have the Trump, the video. Now you have these two other women coming out and said they were assaulted by Trump. All these other things. I have to say that it doesn't look good, the timing of it all. And it makes me suspect. It's not like Trump's suddenly famous. The guy's had millions of dollars for years. At any point, they could have filed these allegations against him, and they didn't. Now, I'm not saying they weren't scared. I'm not saying I don't know the mind of a victim like that. I'm not pretending to. But as Dave says, the initial smell test isn't good. It doesn't muster. It doesn't pass muster right now.
My wife's bottom line is Trump complicit in any way in the killing of 4 Americans?
Exactly.
And is he complicit in any way with the subsequent cover-up?
Exactly.
And is he complicit in any way with the revelation of classified information endangering the United States of America?
I agreed.
And is he complicit in any way with removing the entire borders of the United States of America?
Agreed. Which, as we see in the Podesta emails, again, Hillary's talking about...
No borders.
Yeah, no borders. Trying to get rid of borders, the hemispheric trade system.
And is
gun
Donald
control.
Trump backed by George Soros of Hungarian bent, who believes absolutely in no sovereign nations, no nation states,
Because what
no
happens
borders.
then is the person with the most money can hire their militia, just like I always point to the Mogadishu with the warlords, right? The government's barely in control, so who is? Warlords, because they have the money to control and the guns and the power. That's what those people think. They will come into power because they will have the ability to hire their private armies. We're up against a break. Another update from the incident out of Boston is it's reported that one officer is in critical condition, shot multiple times. The other officer is stable but shot twice. So that's the update out of Boston right now. And, of course, our thoughts and prayers are with their family.
And the LASO sergeant that was killed last week.
That monster that did that. And then the Palm Springs officers.
That particular officer, one of the 2 officers that were killed in a separate case.
Yep.
From I can think of I can see the officer. His last name was Vega.
Yeah.
Not in LASO. It was another jurisdiction.
No, it was Palm Springs. 35
Palm
years.
Springs.
He was 2 months from retiring.
Yes.
And his partner.
And the only reason that he was there for that particular call is he said yes to overtime.
Yep. So the city wasn't short. And it was properly staffed. And his partner, 4-month-old baby on the job, 18 months. It's just absolutely horrible as well. I said on Facebook, somebody posted it, I said, I believe this because I'm Catholic, but St. Michael got 2 more angels for his army to watch over us, and I believe that.
What a silverback, what a sheepdog that guy was.
Yeah, and the young gal trying to make a difference too.
Yep.
And it's just horrendous for him. So we're up against a break. When we come back, the Phoebes and the Department of Justice pissed.
They don't know what they're pissed about.
They don't know
but
what.
They're pissed about something.
But fortunately, somebody's going to tell them right here on the Second Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both the Reaver of Common Sense and SHR Media has just been unleashed to the general public. Be forewarned that this site can be contagious and numerous items can be purchased to support the best news programming. Go to Reaver.one website and click on the store link to check out the merchandise.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Times are dark. The people misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation in confusion needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Live Rebooting Liberty, and YouTube for a unique brand of commentary on the unpleasant blind guide. Because truth is not always pleasant.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying coffee was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
Beware, the Jersey Takeover is here. Every Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the Reverb Common Sense Show, hosted by Jersey Joe, right here on shrmedia.com and highplainsdailynews.com. Only Jersey can deliver hell like no one else, so consider this your fair warning.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And welcome back to the Sackheads Radio Show live on the SHR Media Network. I'm trying to get more information right now, but it looks like the initial shooter in Boston has been shot dead, and then a second suspect is in custody. There are conflicting reports. Some said it was a domestic call, others said it was a man with a gun. So we'll wait to see what comes out of that. Just still scary. So the FBI.
So the FBI and the DOJ are pissed. I think this is what happened. I think somebody from DOJ got pissed and somebody from the FBI overheard it and they said, are they pissed at us? Did we screw up again? And then they got together and somebody who was really smart at DOJ told the FBI what happened. And then they got pissed also. Because people already think they're a bunch of buffoons.
Wait, are you denigrating our vaunted federal agencies?
Yes.
In a word.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I am. Not all of them, but the FBI I absolutely am. Yeah. That stands for frickin' big idiots, I think.
Famous but incompetent.
Can I ask you one question, though,
Yeah.
Clint? Someday, just tell me someday you'll come out of your shell, your cocoon, and tell us what you really, really think.
I'll try.
Okay, all right.
I'll try.
Because you're hedging too many bets right now.
I hope the FBI turns into a real law enforcement agency one day. First of all, federal statutes. Anybody can make a case against a federal statute.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not rocket science.
As proven by the FBI and their existence. So, that being said, so FBI field level agents, investigators, accountants. I don't know. What do you call them?
I like accountants.
Accountants. Okay.
Accountants. Yes.
And some DOJ folks who actually worked on the Hillary Clinton case. They're upset, and they're shocked that Director James Comey on July 5th said that they would not recommend charges to the Attorney General. Over 100 FBI agents and analysts worked with 6 attorneys from DOJ's National Security Division Counter-Espionage Section to investigate this case. And according to a source, FoxNews.com verified the source's identity and their role in the case, according to this article, through Fox News, of course. But it was, according to the article on Fox News, FoxNews.com verified them and their role. And this source says, quote, no trial-level attorney agreed. No agent working the case agreed with the decision not to prosecute. It was a top-down decision. And supposedly, it might not have been it was a unanimous decision that everybody working the case wanted at least Clinton's security clearance yanked. At least.
Minimal.
And then they said it's safe to say the vast majority felt she should be prosecuted. Quote, we were floored while listening to the FBI briefing because Comey laid it all out and then said, but we are doing nothing, which made no sense to us.
Right.
So it seems that the FBI and the DOJ together, it sounds like they did a good investigation. I don't know. I'm not privy to it.
I don't.
But
I don't know if we even said it on the air, but a couple of weeks ago, I think I was telling you, Clint, that I still have some contacts now and then that I talk to. And the line level agents are stewing. Managers on up are covering. But it was predestined. It was all predestined.
It was, and they should be stewing. But here's what I want to know. There are whistleblower laws that allow them to come forward without fear of retribution. Right?
Yes, except for
From
the
the
people
Clintons.
that signed NDAs.
Right.
Yes.
Those agents who signed the NDAs, they would be prosecuted in a microsecond from the DOJ. Guaranteed. The others, that's up to them.
And here's the thing, right? How can they defend that? I mean, you signed an NDA, yes or no? Well, yes, but I'm trying to do the right thing morally. Did you sign the NDA? Yeah,
That was me whistling no.
Hillary Clinton signed some stuff too.
Yep.
Yeah, but that doesn't seem to count. Isn't that odd? That doesn't count at all.
I don't know. I don't know why it doesn't count, but it doesn't count for some reason. Listen, I think it comes down
we all
to
know exactly why it doesn't count.
But I think it comes down with who is actually under the investigation, right? If it was Trey Gowdy or anything like that, they would have went full bore with it.
Oh, hell yes.
And we all know that. We all know that for a fact. What it comes down to is there was preferential treatment, once again telling everybody in this country that there are two sets of laws, one for normal people and one for the elite.
Yes. Look, the New York Post is running a story about former FBI agents and former FBI people in high-level positions that are saying Comey has forever tainted the reputation of this
Yes.
Well, he sure as hell has.
He absolutely has.
And I agree. I don't understand how anybody could ever see Comey as a leader again in that agency. I don't see how. And maybe it was you that said this to me, or maybe it was you, BZ. Somebody said in 3 or 4 years, when you see what company he goes to work for after he leaves the FBI, we'll tell you who is pulling his strings. You follow that chain of money. If it's a liberal, Democrat-owned, Clintons have influence, or whoever, that's where you'll eventually find out where those strings were being pulled from.
Well, you know where the strings were being pulled from.
But then you'll have more conclusive evidence, right?
I mean, I don't know how much more conclusive evidence you get who was pulling those strings. I mean, there was a case that should have been prosecuted where over 100 agents working it thought something should have been done.
Well,
that had to, where that had to come from
one place.
One place. Had to.
The Oval Office, period. Somebody there, under the guise of Barack Hussein Obama, made a phone call to the DOJ. Hello, Loretta. Then the next call went to hello, Jimmy. In the article, it says right off the bat, Loretta Lynch is assuming that she's going to continue as AG under Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
You know,
Comey hoped that he would continue also
under the Hill Dog
as well.
You know what I don't understand? I've watched a couple cop shows. How is it they conducted this entire investigation without issuing a search warrant?
Subpoena.
Without issuing a subpoena?
Initially.
Without a grand jury being convened or a grand jury number being pulled or any of that other stuff? How did they do this?
I want to know how you come to a decision not to prosecute because, quote, a case of this type has not been prosecuted on this level before, i.e., it sounds like we've never had an active Secretary of State commit this crime before, so because it's never been prosecuted, there's no prosecutorial standard for it, which is BS.
Right. So somebody had to be prosecuted for the first murder.
Right.
Somebody had to be prosecuted for the first burglary.
And I'm like...
For the first stolen car.
Well, listen, we had a president who probably would have been brought up on charges for recording or losing the recording of, 18 and a half minutes is what the number is?
Yeah, Rosemary Woods.
Yeah. So you had a precedence there. They were going to go forward and impeach him and bring him up on charges.
And rightfully so.
Right. So you already had that precedence.
Yeah, look,
2 points, if I could.
Please.
Two more than I could.
The show was rigged from the beginning, including
of course.
Her failure to be recorded during the interview.
They don't ever do that, though. The feds don't ever record their interviews.
That is true.
That's because people accidentally get shot in them sometimes.
No, that's true.
That's true, too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Case out
the
of Florida.
second is that she's not placed under oath. The third is that she's interviewed for 3.5 hours, and the fact that the agents on the investigation, just on the investigation, had to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and that's unprecedented.
Yes.
Why would you ever do that if you're conducting an investigation that is on the up and up? And then point number two. Again, we were talking about WikiLeaks this week from WikiLeaks, which adds to all this controversy, and this in and of itself should be an extreme tell. WikiLeaks released internal Clinton communications, like records, that show that the Department of Justice kept Hillary Clinton's campaign and her staff informed and up to date about the progress of the investigation. Hello, Mr. Suspect in a rape case. Here's what we're doing with your case. Here's the evidence we have, and we want to make sure that we keep you in the loop. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not kidding you, but that's what happened.
Oh, no, I was kidding him.
Oh, well, there's no reason for it. But like you said, total unprecedented approach. It's a hack job. We all know it was a hack job. We all know that it was called down from the top. And hey, listen, like I said, maybe he was afraid of getting the Arkansas flu at some point, right? Maybe he was afraid that when he went out to go golfing, he would have a tragic driving accident and get a bullet to the back of the head.
Right. Or if you're the former CIA director, Webster, you'd have a canoeing accident and the body's never found.
Yeah, or if you're a whole bunch of former Clinton bodyguards or aides on some level, you'd be dead to an early demise somehow.
Yeah, or you're found in a park, in a federal park,
Yes.
with an investigation from the Federal Park Service, which is knowingly one of the most absolutely brazenly incompetent federal agencies ever known to man to investigate a murder in a federal park.
Yes. Yes. And in that case, normally they defer to local law enforcement. In a lot of those cases, with the federal parks especially, in the D.C. area, the working agreement is if it's not on the White House or Congress naturally...
Yeah, it goes to Metro.
It normally goes to the D.C. Metro Police Department. That one was not. And in cases in which have been linked back in some way to the Clintons, the D.C. Metro Police, I bring up the young lady, I forget her name, and I apologize, who was the Starbucks employee who said that she was just about to come out with an allegation of sleeping with the former president, Clinton, and she was killed in a quote-unquote robbery, shot twice to the back of the head. Her 2 co-workers were shot as well.
Yeah, but that was coincidental.
No money was taken, and the door was not forced open, and it was after hours when the door was locked. And the door was locked when law enforcement arrived. But outside of that, I mean, that's
all coincidence.
Right, that's a natural robbery. Yeah, you know, for the FBI agents who worked really hard on this, all joking aside, it is a slap to the face. If they were truly doing it for the right reasons and being impartial, which I wanted them to be impartial, right? I never wanted to come out that this was a jaded investigation one way or another. I wanted this to be impartial and based in facts. And I like to believe that the field agents that worked on this until it got up to management level did so. Tried to do it to the best of their ability with impartiality in their
Comey
hearts.
predicated that decision entirely but upon a false premise. He, in his statement, made all the bullet points for prosecution of Hillary Clinton, then at the last moment pulled it back and said that he didn't have the threshold required. The threshold required, that's false. The threshold required from him is only to assemble a case, but upon probable cause. Did he have probable cause to assemble a case? I could make every argument that he did. Put it together, tie it in the knot, send it over to the DOJ, and that'll let a grand jury be the trier of law and the trier of fact.
Or even if they put it into a federal prosecutor's hands and that federal prosecutor decide,
nope.
Yeah, no, for whatever reason, then as Comey, it's out of your hands. You did everything you were supposed to do.
But here's why he couldn't do that. Or here's why they didn't allow him to do that. Because Comey was a Republican.
Right.
He was a Republican appointee. If he put it to the Justice Department and they knew they weren't going to file, you would have a Democratic Justice Department, part of the Obama administration, declining to file charges. It would have been a big story and it still would have been a scandal. But by him not even recommending the case, it was a brilliant play politically for the Democrats.
Yes.
Because it enabled them to say,
Look, if you can't even get a Republican,
a man of honor,
that's right,
a Republican appointee didn't think there was anything there. Clearly, this is just a circus act on the fact of Congress.
It's just a fishing expedition.
It was a brilliant political play to make Comey the fall guy.
To supersede the law.
And because he is not part of their Democratic machine, one of their Democratic minions, he's expendable. If a Republican president gets in,
he's gone.
He's gone. He's expendable. They don't care. If a Democrat gets in, well, maybe now he gets to stay and play ball. Because he's a fair, impartial Republican nominee
that
who did
makes
the
him all
right
the better.
thing, who didn't get involved in the politics. So it was a brilliant play. They needed him not to forward the case to the DOJ. Yes, he had probable cause, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he should have forwarded the case because that was his job. But politically speaking, there was no way they were going to let that happen.
I agree.
And they didn't.
I agree. So I am glad that there are people inside the DOJ and the FBI who are hangry. I know some people in the chat room want to see them come forward at some point as whistleblowers and tell the truth. Unfortunately, it won't be until after November, for one reason or another. Unless they're working with lawyers right now on the side, maybe with Congress for protection.
We don't know
from the NDA.
Do you think
somebody has to come out?
Do you think if Trump gets elected, he'll get a special prosecutor to go after Hillary?
Yes, without a doubt.
Like day one?
Yeah.
Like he swears
as he's swearing in,
and during his inauguration speech, he's like, "My inauguration speech, I'm appointing Trey Gowdy as a special prosecutor."
Yeah,
I go back to what your friend said a month ago. Tell us, Sean.
He is fighting for the presidency. She is fighting for her freedom.
Yeah,
because if he gets in, she's done.
Oh yeah,
I completely believe that.
And I want to jump back.
And she should be.
Yes. Oh yeah. I agree. I want to go back just really quick. Anonymous also, well, this is allegedly one of the Podesta hackers who announced through an anonymous website, and I want to read it because it shows legitimacy. It's the website that everything's been coming from prior to WikiLeaks. And it's kind of long, but I'll read it real quick. The writer said, all 33,000 deleted emails are going to be released November 1st, possibly in 4 to 5 sets. These emails are going to be completely undoing of the Democratic Party. We're purposely holding them back so they cannot have time to replace Hillary. Also, we are not Russians, despite what CNN tells you. We already have inside info that Obama is literally going to start a war with Russia to cover up the crimes that are in the emails. We are talking Obama and Hillary being held for treason and ending up in the same groups that they have influenced by next year. By the way, I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but on top of Putin ordering everybody home, he pushed a whole bunch of nuclear-capable vehicles to the border with Poland.
Yeah.
So just understand that. And there's some tough talk coming out of the Russians right now. They're posturing, which a lot of people are ignoring in this country. They're posturing huge.
Yes, they are.
And a lot of people are starting to get nervous, and rightfully so.
Because they've been emboldened. Well, on that hand, TMZ today, Jeff Dunitz, who's on SHR Media, I should like to point out,
Yes.
had an article today on his blog. TMZ came out with a report that said the Trump audio from NBC was delayed for the most damage.
Yes. Oh, well, I called that immediately.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
I said there's
but
no
that's
way
not
that
hard. That's
it's
not
now
hard to
out.
figure out.
Yeah.
No, it's not hard.
Said there's no way this was just this just happened. The report, and this is from today at 8:31 a.m. The post goes on. The emails coming in the next 2 weeks. There are 6 videos being released. One that documents Hillary slandering and being racist against a female African American. The amount of hatred seen on her face for their community will be worse than 100 Trump tapes. Also, the documents and videos coming this week that will destitute any faith in the Democratic Party, specifically with HRC's campaign. We will have them committing felonies on camera, the kind that make voter fraud that we have, the kind that equal voter fraud that we will release. Looking like that we will release look like a jaywalking ticket to control the media and the elections. We have already delivered roughly 10,000 of the Podesta emails. This is 1/20th of the content that we are releasing and are saving for last. Wait a week and look at the polls. You guys are biasing your arrogance upon your polls that you guys are biasing on. We have information. 9 out of 10 polls that are posted from right before the debate today have been sampled to show favors in HRC and create a false drop for Trump. And it goes on and on and on and on and on.
One quick question. What if Donald Trump wins in an actual landslide?
He could.
What if?
He could. Look, the polls in all the swing states are within the margin of error.
Yes.
He could win all of them.
What if there are literally hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of people who, up to this time, have said absolutely nothing.
Well,
and they're not going to say it because they don't want to be they don't want to be painted with any kind of a perception. And all they're going to do is step into the voting booth,
pull that handle and walk away.
Do that.
Well, but
it's
we've
possible.
seen that before, right? You've seen people that have said, I'm voting for this person, it's this person all the way, this person all the way, who they get in and they either have that stroke of conscience or they just do what they think is truly right, not public right, and they pull the handle. And I've known people who have done that. I know people who are secret, I call them secret conservatives, right? You see them out and about, especially my friends in Massachusetts, where being a conservative gets you killed.
Which is weird to me that Massachusetts is like that.
Well,
because they still believe in the rule of thumb, I think.
No, they finally got rid of that.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it was on the old blue laws. But for all the Democrats in Massachusetts, they did vote a Republican as a governor. He's not a strict conservative. Like, he's still pretty center of the road, but he's a Republican in Massachusetts. He's hardcore Republican, and they elected him governor. So, and nobody saw that coming. And then, as Dave Agador Milner reminded me earlier, and I absolutely have to agree, when it comes to polls, look at Brexit. Brexit was never going to happen in the polls.
No, that's my predicating point right there.
Yep.
How accurate are the polls?
Yes.
Everyone was saying in the UK and the EU, Brexit, Given.
Because they didn't want people to come out and vote.
Right. They were afraid of the response that there would be. They were trying to scare them home.
Just like you're going to see with potentially with some of these Trump polls.
Well,
Yes, and on voting night as well.
Look, I think even if Trump wins in an electoral landslide, I don't think it's going to be a landslide with the popular vote. I just don't.
I disagree.
Okay, well that's cool. But I think that there's a 40-something% of the population that's going to support Hillary no matter what.
And California is my play in the popular vote, and here's why. We talk about the gun laws that are coming up on this ballot. How many conservatives are going to get to the...
Yeah, but they
not the electoral votes.
They couldn't even sign the frickin' petitions to have it put up for ballot. So it's not even going to be on the ballot because the conservatives couldn't come out to sign petitions. California people on gun laws, they're more Democrat than they're concerned about their gun rights.
I'm just saying, see how many people show up. I will tell you, in the little town in California
I hope you're right.
that I live in, when I drive through Davis, California, which is Diet Berkeley, and I see Trump signs on lawns, it tells you something.
Look, I hope you're right, but I have no faith in the California population.
I never have faith in California voters.
No
Proposition 57. No. We might discuss it later. What an incredible abortion on toast is Prop 57.
Yeah, and that's not...
Oh, is there more abortion legislation coming through?
Oh, no. No, that's going to decriminalize all sorts of
violent crimes. Yeah, it's horrific. We'll talk about that next week. Folks, that's
It's
it for the
gonna pass.
Sackheads Radio Show.
I'm
Thank you
afraid.
so much for joining us this week. You're
welcome.
Really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you, Sean.
Mute you now. No.
I appreciate you. I appreciate
Make sure you check
BZ.
out all the great
Thank you.
shows on
Thank you. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
I'm going to
Thank
thank you
you.
since Sean won't. He's just
I
gonna
always
grandstand
thank him,
everybody
laugh.
else. I
Thank you.
appreciate
I always
that.
thank
And
you.
I'm going to
Laugh.
thank you first because that's where you are in my heart.
Bloviating
Thank you very
Zeppelin.net.
much.
Check out all the great shows on SHR Media, starting tomorrow morning with the Reaver of Common Sense and all through the day. And remember,
I just want you to sound like the end of like a Ford commercial or something, or the end of a car commercial, where like you have to get all the stuff in really fast.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Breaking news. According to the latest report coming out of SHR Media, a merchandise store to support both
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
Hack news. Hack news.
Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.